Now I'm very excited to welcome back Katie, the sports betting queen from the show Crooks and Books. You can follow Katie on X at K Deuces. Katie, thanks for coming back on the show. I see you guys are having a great start to the NFL season. How are things going this week?
We are doing really well for the first couple of weeks. This week, we just did our show yesterday, so you guys will have to find out and take a look at what our analysis is. And we had some takeaways from the last few weeks and obviously week two. But so far, week two, we are at, where are we at week two here? Our odds are 27 and 17. So we are at 61%.
That is amazing. That is great stuff. And it was funny. You threw out this massive number.
Mhm.
That's something that's specific to your show. I listened to the last one last week, and it sounds like you guys have a take on every single game.
Um, Sometimes. And if we don't, we kind of give you just the lean on it and say, we don't like this, or maybe we change our minds in the middle of like today is Thursday night football and we still have a
Mhm.
couple hours. So we do have a newsletter that comes out every week up until the playoffs because the guys want to start charging for coffee since they're like, hey, someone can afford that. But it's a free newsletter every week for the whole season, except for, like I said, the playoffs, and it has each and every one of the podcasters' picks on it, including mine. And these are the things that we're kind of sure of, or that we've actually put on the sheet to make sure that we can brag about it the next week and carry the team, as what my son would say.
No, there you go. Carry the team. That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about the history of Crooks and Books and about yourself. I know you were on once and did a little bit of that, but for
Mhm.
anybody that hasn't heard that before, what's gotten you into this and how long you been doing
All right. Well, Crooks and Books podcast is the Sports Bet Queen. So I'm the only woman on the podcast. And that's why we call it that. And I also used to carry the team, as what my son would say.
it?
It started like a garage kind of hangout type thing. And we just started talking crap about our football teams and how biased we are and the drama that encompasses all of the NFL.
Hmm.
I started betting when I was young. So around maybe between 10, 13 years old, I started learning about the
Wow.
spreads and what my parents would talk about, especially my dad, uncles, and, kind of just going through the motions of what these numbers are, because you start asking yourself, if I'm learning math in school, what are they talking about? What is -7? What is +7? And who are the Dallas Cowboys? Who's, back in the 90s, the 49ers? So I learned that through my aunt, who was watching me after school, and we would, watch the football games, and I would ask about what's a first down, what's the third down, what's this PAT, and that's how I got into football specifically. But and the other guys, obviously, I was able to keep up with the conversation with the guys that I've been on the show with since 2018, because I know a lot about the players and also the teams, and not too much on like who's injured and stuff like that, which I'm trying to get better on. It's just hard
Uh-huh.
to keep that afloat, especially when you're doing so much. But I think that, we started it. It grew a following in 2020, or around COVID and after COVID and during that time, just because a lot of what we were saying, everybody else was thinking. And I think they wanted
Right.
somebody else to say it, or they were looking for confirmation in what their analysis was or where they're leaning to. But yeah.
Yeah, everyone, that's great. And it's fun that you start talking. It's like, I want other, I love talking about this. I want other people to hear it.
Mhm.
And yeah, and you always want confirmation too, and you want to see other perspectives. That's great. And you've been doing this quite a long time now. So big following on Instagram at the Sports Betting Queen. Obviously, check that out if you're a big Instagram fan. And obviously, everywhere else, Katie is on all these different shows in LA and in other places. So very proud of this girl right here.
Yeah,
Let's
thank
talk
you.
Let's talk a little NFL then. We got
Mhm.
it's interesting. You got 2 weeks of data, right? And
Mhm.
I would want to ask you, and this is such a it doesn't even matter to sports betting really, but who do you think right now are the top five teams in the NFL?
So yeah, of course, it's early in the game, and like you want to say which teams they actually are in a technical term. But I think going forward, top teams, no matter what, would be Bills, Ravens, Chargers, Green Bay, and I'm going to say 49ers because of the schedule. Otherwise, I would have said Detroit.
49ers. And you're not a 49er fan, are you, by
Oh,
chance?
of course I am.
Well, I'm a Bears fan. I certainly would not put them in the top 5, top 10, or top 15.
No, I just feel like the Bears need to find their identity still, and I talk a lot about that on the show and how quarterbacks are, everybody will say on any show, they'll say this team is one quarterback away, but maybe it's the quarterback that's one team away. You know what I mean? Because they have to fit into a style of what that offense is, right? Defense doesn't, it matters, but it's in conjunction with the offense that they need to fit into. So I think the Bears, they've got the recipe to do that. They've just got to get that identity, and whether or not they find that in Caleb, I'm not sure.
I agree. And I think, it's just going to take time. You can't rush into things. Brand new coach, brand new system, complicated system. I think we'll give the Bears some time, and I totally agree with that. So what kind of better are you, or at least handicapper? Are you someone that's more metric-based, more creative, spot-based, or both?
That's a really good question, and I'm narrative. So narrative method, experiences based on numbers, obviously, but or what I've seen in the dramatic fall of certain teams, but it keeps it unbiased for me, even though, we just talked about the Niners, obviously. I try to stay away from a lot of the games that I feel a certain way about, or, where you're like, okay, I know I want my Niners to win, but it may not be. So the narrative method to me kind of includes both of what you said, which is metric and creative. And looking at the narrative of certain things, you see a villain, you see, the hero in certain teams. And I think I don't just do that with NFL. I also do that with baseball and with the NBA. You can do that a lot with the NBA, actually. But looking at that and mixing it up with numbers, you'll really find, I think, an analysis that will confirm what you want when you're betting.
Absolutely. You can. And I like that. Narrative base is another way of saying it. And I would say that's a little creative too, in a way. It's that you're looking at it, and you look at it as a whole. You do look at some numbers, but I think that things come together a little bit for you quicker that way. Well, let's talk a little bit about some of the situations here. What about some buy low, sell high? I like to approach a week or two, and it doesn't mean that I'm like going to bet them this week or fade them this week. But do you have like a team that you think you're a little bit higher on the market or lower on the market?
I think I would like to sell the high point on the Rams. A lot of people that I've heard and friends too that I know that are in the industry are very high on the Rams this year, or were. And I know it's only week 2, right? But maybe they kind of go on a downward stream just because I don't know the changes that they've really made. They have great receivers, and obviously Matt Stafford is still Matt Stafford, but you've got to be able to change the way that you look at the game and how you play the game. I think that McVay, maybe a book might be out on him now this year. Right. So I would sell high on them now just because they're, I just don't know that they'll make it into that in the later weeks of the NFL.
I think it's a great choice because I believe the Texans should have beat them the first game, and they just fumbled the ball away. And the Texans are not necessarily a good team. And it's funny, I can sell high on the Texans too, because I still think, them going to Jacksonville and being a pretty close spread, I'm like, man, that's a really bad offensive line. And don't get me wrong, Jacksonville is a really tough, head scratching team because they have skills, yet they keep completely blow games. So I would sell high a little bit on Houston, and the Rams, I think, is a great choice to sell high on too. And I think, there's a chance, Eagles can take them away. So we'll see what happens when we get to that game. Buy low, I think it's tough right now. I believe it or not, from a against the spread perspective, maybe Cleveland, just because their defense is still really solid and Flacco's okay.
I was
And
actually going to say the same thing because I love them
there you go.
for this week. So yeah,
Okay. Well, there
great.
you go. That's a great segue to get into this week then, because we like to talk about every game or pass or at least bring it
Yeah.
up and give out a couple plays as we're going along too. So let me get my old pen and
Okay.
paper here, as I always love to take notes. And we'll start with the I don't start with the Thursday night game usually because this
Oh, okay, that's good.
well, here's the thing. It's a massive spread, and by the time the
It
show
is.
comes out, unless people are watching live, it is it's more about the podcast for me. And the Browns Packers are the first game listed in
Mhm.
DraftKings, and I want to talk about this one because I actually do have a play in the Browns that I'm going to make an official play. The thing is that yards per point wise, they're really not that far from the Packers, and the Packers have been pretty fortunate here, but we have not seen them on the road. It's a team that is interesting right now because they've killed it at home, but I believe they're a little different at home. And when an 0-2 team is desperate, I think that's a good
Yes.
situation here. I just retweeted from Josh Applebaum. Teams that are 0-2 and are dogs in week 3 have gone 37-17 against the spread. Since 2017, that is a
Wow.
69% hit. It is crazy. The Dolphins, the Jets, the Texans, the Bears, the Giants, the Saints, the Browns, the
Mhm.
Panthers, and the Titans fit that bill. But I think the Packers are fine to get out of there winning by 7. They're fine to
Yeah,
get
I
out of
think
there winning
so.
by 6. 4, I'm taking
Mm,
the Browns. It wouldn't shock me if they won outright, but they still have some skill on that team. It sounds like Quinshawn Junkins might play this week more.
yeah.
And they have a couple of Jetty and a couple pretty good receivers and a very good defense. So
Yeah, and I agree with you. I like Cleveland since I do we have a sheet that we call the sheet that's the slots for each game, and I usually set that up on Tuesdays. So when I see something and I like it at the time that I'm actually putting in the numbers, the spread totals, I saw Green Bay versus Cleveland and it was 8, and I was like, no, like I like, and if you listen to my podcast, I'm a big Green Bay fan so far, right? But there's a time where you're like, okay, this spread is a little high and it should be what you would call a blowout 7, but why is it an 8? And I feel like it was switched over that the week before, I guess it was the week. So last week was a week that you would be like, oh, let's everybody take the dogs, and a lot of faves won, right? Even though there's some dogs that won, but I feel like this time around they set us up for the Chargers, and they were a favorite. They won. They set us up for favorites. Like, oh, you would
oh
want
yeah.
to take the favorites because these are big rivalries coming up and teams that would blow out other teams that you would think so far. So Cleveland is one of those teams that I feel like that can really cover this spread. Like you said, Green Bay could win by 7, and then we would still all be happy.
There you go. I agree. Let's move on to the next game, which is the Jets at Bucks. And the Bucks are -7. The total's
Ooh.
43.5. Any thoughts on this one?
Jets great defense. Okay, I took them the first week for circa millions, and that was a bet that I wasn't really
Good
that
call.
worried about because it was kind of like, all right, Jets have a great defense. Their coach came from us. He was a defensive coach, championship defensive coach, so I understood that. Tampa Bay is a great team as well. They have a really good defense as well. Vita Vea. He is one of the best in what he does. And I know that because he's from the Bay Area. So Milpitas. And that team would be nothing without him, really, I think. And Baker can bake we see this all the time. But I do think that the Jets could possibly take this. So I don't know. It's a
I
big,
don't
it's a big
disagree.
thing. Yeah, it's a big thing for me. I just think that they had a huge win. Florida had a huge win, or Tampa Bay had a huge win, and it
Letdown
was
spot.
Sunday. You know what I mean? For sure,
I,
for sure.
and
And I took the
here,
Texans on that one. You know what I'm saying? So I totally agree with what you were saying about the Texans, but I think the Jets take this one.
well, here's the thing. You think they win outright or to cover the 7?
Cover the 7. If they win outright, I mean, that would be great, and I would take that on a lower.
Well, they fit the bill for
I mean,
dogs
they
that I just
definitely
said.
do. But then they don't have
69%.
field, I think, is what scared me off of that one.
Well,
of
here's the
winning.
thing. Tyrod
Yeah,
Taylor is a hell of a backup, and Fields is
he
just
is.
great with his
He
legs,
is.
and he's just been missing people. I think Tyrod Taylor is still okay with his legs, not as good as Fields,
Hmm.
but has the better accuracy. So I'm really thinking about it. Looking in the, I
Me
mean,
too.
if you want to, there's a dog barking right there. That
I
means you
know
bet the dog.
that's probably the indicator. Sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
that's a very common thing actually. Yeah, I'm looking at the Jets, and it's 6.5 for a reason at Circa Millions, because they know that number's off. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm considering them. I worry about the Bucks. If you're on that side, is Kalijah Cansey is out for the season, and they'll have three offensive linemen out. This is a bad
Oh,
spot for the Bucks. So
yeah.
yeah, really
It
staring
is,
that one
and then
down.
they won that game. They won that game off of, like you said, like they're hype
Yeah,
on it. They
they're
just won a
hype.
game,
Right.
so they're just it's a dramatic one. So maybe we do cover this one. As far as the Jets.
Maybe we do. It's an omen. All right, let's move on to the next game. We have the Rams at Eagles, and Eagles was -3.5, total 44.5. Now, metrically, I can't really say a lot after 2 weeks, but what I will say is that I do have the Eagles
Sorry.
ranked. I have them. I have them ranked high enough over 3.5.
Okay.
So if this gets down to 3, I will lay it with the Eagles most likely. So it's a situation where I
Ooh,
think
so
that.
I see where you're coming. So if the movement comes to 3, then you will do it. Okay.
Yeah, it's not where I can bet it now. My number's 4.5.
Yeah.
But if it
Yeah.
gets to 3, I just think the Eagles are that, they're a weird team. They don't cover by a lot when they don't want to, because they have the tush push and run the clock. But I think the Rams, like you said, sell high is getting a little bit too much.
I got you. Yeah, and I we talked about that on the show. And if you can watch it now on my show, we talked about the Rams covering. I think Prado was the one that talked about the Rams covering +3.5. I just don't see it because they're in Philly. And that's the narrative part of my method, that there is a hype on this. And I understand that Philly may go 3-0. You know what I'm saying? Which is completely like, okay, cool. Like, they're the championship team. They're the team to beat. We understand that narrative, but they'll lose a game. It's just, it may not be this one. You know what I mean? And they will cover. You know what I'm saying? So you're right. If it goes to 3, I'm down with you. I'll take that bet with you. But
All right.
3.5 is a little sketch. You know what I mean?
Unfortunately, it's 3.5 on the contest, so it's probably a stay away from the contest play for me.
Right.
Let's move on to the next game. We have the Falcons at Panthers. Now, all I'm going to say about this is that I kind of like the Falcons and what they're doing, but it's a situation, good quarterback, bad coach. That always burns you in situations where you're laying past 3. Unfortunately, Carolina fits the trend. So if you were thinking about Falcons, that's a powerful 69% trend. I am staying away from this game itself. It wouldn't shock me if anything happens, like Carolina wins outright or the Falcons cover by a lot.
Off the top, I did like this game for the over 44. So
Okay.
I think it's because both teams can score. They like, Carolina's proved it with what happened with Arizona last week, and Arizona was beating them. You know what I'm saying? As in beating them. And if you let a team like that come back, then they're going to have a little bit of spirit, and they're going to want to play. And Atlanta is a team that they can play. And I think maybe they're a team that plays to what their opponent is, or what their opponent's identity is. So I think both can really score. And I think 43.5, 44 is a good number to go over.
Yes, that's pretty low. And I see that Atlanta is scoring. They do have a solid defense. But Carolina at the end of games has just been scoring a lot, and they came through that back door hard. And I was at that Cardinals game last week, and they
Oh my
came through
God.
hard. I was scared a lot of people.
Yeah, how was that? What was the experience there, actually?
It was great. Me and my son had a blast, and we got a jersey for him, Marvin Harrison Jr.
That's
We got
awesome.
home. The family loved it. Then when we got home, they were watching us, and it was good.
That's so cool.
It was good. I sent my wife a lot of texts from the shared Dane, and doing all these fun things like kicking field goals and stuff like that. It was really fun.
That's awesome.
It was super cool.
And it got exciting. So
yeah,
I mean,
it got exciting.
What
at
else do
the
you
end.
want, right?
Not exciting the way we liked it, but I'm glad
Right.
I'm glad I didn't have nothing on that game minus a small survivor.
Oh yeah.
Cardinals. The big survivor.
Oh, that's good.
Big
You didn't have
survivor.
to
I
spell
had
it
a
out.
much better play. The Cowboys, that way better. Yeah. I should have been out after last week. Colts, Titans plus 4.5 total, 43.5.
Ooh. I do like Tennessee on this one. I was thinking about it a little bit more to ponder. Daniel Jones is playing his freaking mind out. You know what I mean? I don't know
Yeah.
if I can cuss on your show, so I don't want to be, but
Cuss
he's
away.
playing
Cuss
his
away.
butt off,
No,
dude. Yeah. And I don't know, like I feel like the excitement is there, but Tennessee is always been a team that I feel will cover for you. They haven't covered obviously the times that I took them last year, which is crazy because I thought they were like my betting schemy team. But I think they can actually do this and get to Danny Dimes. So we'll see. We'll see.
I actually do have a premium play on this. What I will say is the hype real on the Colts? You have to ask yourself that. They should have lost last game. We all know that. We know that ref
Oh
was
my
doing.
God.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
had $3,000 on it. And I'll say that out loud happily because I don't have it
Yeah,
now
it's gone.
because
Yeah.
of the Denver Broncos. And it's not really them. It's the refs.
Oh,
It's
they were
that
throwing that
call.
flag before. Yeah, I've complained enough about it, and it's just one of those situations you can't do nothing about it, and the NFL won't say anything about it. So move on.
Yeah, it's
Raiders.
literally a tear jerker where you're like,
Yeah. Well, good
what?
thing you're having a great year though, so that's a great start. If
Mhm.
you combine
Yep.
my college, I am as well. Raiders Commanders minus 3.5 here. There's a little money coming on the Raiders. The big question is if Jaden Daniels is going to play, and my guess is no. I just
I
think
don't
that
think so.
here's the deal. This one is one you sit out from a contest standpoint because, well, this is why you wait because he gets announced out before Saturday's
Mhm.
deadline. This is going to
Mhm.
crash down to 2.5 to 3. And if he's announced in, this is going to go back up to 5. So it's a
Ah,
situation where you want to wait it out, you wait it out, or you
or do you
completely
take it?
avoid it, because everyone's going to be on it, and they'll crush them, right? It could crush
Yeah.
them if they lose, and then you get a leg up on the contest. So that's like contest theory. But
And this
right
is it
now,
where? Where is this being played at, Kiev?
it's in Washington,
Washington?
and the
Oh.
total's 44.5. And Washington's never been a great home field, but the Raiders are
Mm-mm.
kind of, I think they stayed out last week after the Patriots screw up, and I think they put a good fight on, and we know Geno Smith can play a little ball. So I mean, I leaned hard the Raiders. I might get on it, I might not. It's just, yeah, I also that offensive line's bad for the Raiders, though. That offensive line
Well,
is bad.
yeah. And we always call the Raider games on our show misery loving company. So if you want a little bit of degen misery, then you take this game and you close your eyes and you say, "Hey, come on, Raiders." But
Plus,
that's
it
because
would shock me. We're paying juice, right? So it wouldn't shock me if Jane Daniels plays and there's BS and it's just
yeah.
it's hard to predict that. It's like you're playing juice on 50-50 here. I'm not messing with that.
Yeah.
It's like maybe
I'm
it'll be a
not
contest play.
I can't. I
Yeah,
can't. Yeah. It's
Steelers
it's
Patriots.
it's too much. Steelers Patriots. Ooh. I think the Steelers are throwing up a facade,
Uh-huh.
because it's Aaron. Aaron has an identity of like, I'm the best, I'm good, even though he ain't nothing right now, you know. And I don't, and obviously I give a lot of credit to Aaron. He's who he is because he got there. I just don't know that he fits into this team just yet. And a lot of QBs have tried to do that with the Steelers. Steelers have an identity. You have to fit it. It's either you do or you don't. And I think we've seen that with Russell, right? He was there, and I don't know that that really worked out. Is this really going to work out for him, for Aaron? Maybe, but it still has to kind of like mold into that. So I don't really have anything on this. I wouldn't be shocked if the Patriots were able to keep up because their team, both teams are, kind of in that sense. But I don't know. What do you think? I
I like
just.
this. I like the Steelers in this. I think the Patriots are still a ways away from being
Mhm.
good. I think last week was more of the apparition, and the Patriots, big deal. There wasn't that great of a win for them. They won, but they were playing a very, very incompetent Miami team that just lost their
Oh
coach,
my God.
and so it's like now they're full of themselves. The Steelers are kicking themselves after a fumble on the kickoff or on a
Mhm.
big punt that changed the game. And I just think TJ Watt gets to them. And that's the biggest handicap I have is
That
I think
is.
the pass rush really gets to May and forces them some bad decisions. And the Steelers kind of play. This is kind of like a Mike Tomlin special. I like this will be an
I like
official
that.
play.
I like how
Yeah.
you said that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah,
you.
Mike Tomlin takes advantage.
Yeah.
I mean, why wouldn't you? You're a great
Yeah,
coach.
it's just
You're one of
after
those.
after a loss. Yeah, after a loss, Vrabel's still young over there. It's just too new. And the Patriots have a terrible offense line too, so I'm not giving
Ugh,
them too
yeah.
much credit. Bengals Vikings. Now this is weird. It's 3, and then what happened is we knew what happened with Joe Burrow.
Mhm,
Unfortunate, and that's just having a bad line and him not falling
mhm.
correctly. It seems, and then all of a sudden we are all surprised by the Vikings because I really thought that McCarthy was going to play, but then it goes down to 3. But the question is Wentz really worse than McCarthy yet? I don't even know.
We call him Cayman Wentz. So,
Yeah, he's came and Wentz.
y
That maybe he
you
is
know,
worse.
I mean, he could throw up a really good backup game, I guess, but, I mean, for Minnesota and they're home again, that's crazy. Like, they get to play all these times at home, and they should be winning, right?
Right.
I just Browning +3, it sounds so inviting. I don't really want anything in this game, but if I had to lean, I would think that there's better coaching on the Cincinnati side. I know I'm a big fan of obviously the coach in Minnesota. I just don't know that he can play out there. You know what I mean? You can't play. You're a great coach, but is your players going to play for you? And
Right.
that didn't happen with JJ. Maybe that's why he's going to Mr. Cayman Wentz. And Cayman Wentz has won some very, very, obnoxious, really big games in his life as who he is. But I don't know that this will get away from since I think Cincinnati could cover this possibly. They are a dog.
Yeah, I think Browning's a good backup. I don't think he's a great backup. And he's still got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and some very skilled
Mhm.
receivers and Chase Brown and some just a very good offense that can bail him out. But the question is,
Yeah.
so does the Vikings, and the Vikings have a better defense. I lean the Vikings. I'm not gonna.
Ooh, okay.
I'm probably not gonna. I'm probably not going to use this as a contest play. I didn't even look at the number on it. If it's 3, I'd be more tempted, I guess.
Yeah.
It's
I
3.
think
It's
it's at
3.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, it's at 3 in a contest. So we'll see. I just think that there's a lot of variance because of Cayman Wentz, and Cayman Wentz has screwed me
Yeah.
over probably more
So
times
many times.
than not.
And he's
Let's not
won.
forget that the Vikings are very injured too because Aaron Jones is also out, which brings
Yes, he's
more,
out.
and that brings more questions. And then you also have just if you look at their injury list, Greenard's hurt, Andrew Van Ginkel it was
Mm.
concussed. He's probably missing. It's just a lot of injuries on this Vikings team. They probably win by 3, and everybody pushes. Right?
Yeah.
That's what it kind
And
of
then
feels
you're
like.
just like, okay, what a waste of time. But sure, give me my money back so I can just put it on something else.
Texans, Jaguars minus 1.5, total 43.5. What do you
Ugh.
think about this disgusting game?
So I think, and we have nicknames on our show, so you'll find out about that. If you've already been listening, like Kiev, then he knows. We call him Lion King at the Jaguars because he has the Lion King hair, and he's like Mufasa or whatever. But Lion King, I think
Lion
can
King.
yeah,
He's
but
been
you
lying. He lied to me enough about games. If you want to,
oh, that's true. But he
oh,
had he
Lyen, lion. Right?
yes. It's his 5th year. He's got to do a little bit better than what we've seen in CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud has to move. Like you've got to move. Like you get 4 tries at a first and goal and you don't move. You can put it in yourself, just like Mahomes. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
He did it
Yeah.
last week. Jalen Hurts will any other quarterback that I start naming down the list will be able to run in the ball. Okay. If
Yeah.
you don't have a choice, that's what you do. You don't sit there and stand there. You have to move and stop playing scared. I do think that Lion King has the ability to do this a little bit more than the Texans. I don't doubt the Texans. I could be a game back. I did take them last week, and I always say it's called the run it back, where you run that same team back because you lost. I don't have a specific, this is what I'm going to take, but that's my analysis on it. I just don't like any of these teams.
Yeah, it's a tough situation because somehow the Texans are barely a dog and they fit that bill, that 69%. Yet the Jaguars should beat them, but they love to just give the ball away to the other team and make stupid things like go for it on 4th down when you should go up 6 and I should have covered that spread. You know,
Oh, God, that's so annoying.
It's just, but that's Jaguars. It's almost like betting on Sam Darnold. It's like you have to accept your reality after
and your fate.
Like,
yes.
Yeah, you have to accept your fate after doing something like that. So there it is. That's why I lean the Jaguars. But man, aren't they hard to get to? Seahawks Saints.
Totally.
This is going to be the biggest Survivor play in all of Survivor because there's no other places to use the Seahawks. But does that mean I'm going to be on it? No, I don't think so. But I think that I think that the Saints were feisty. They're not. They know they're not good, and that's why they just take everything the defense gives them. And I gotta admit, Spencer Rattler never came to me as a good quarterback, but he's not good. But he's not making mistakes either, and
he can keep up. He can keep up.
Well, is Seattle fat and happy this week coming home? But they were embarrassed at home by the Niners, and do you think that they maybe win the first one at home, or just kind of just feel overconfident? I would take the Saints if I had to bet this.
Wow. And maybe they do win just off of being mad and like, hey, let's not give up on our team. And then Seattle's going through something, right? Or whatever it is. I hear a lot of talk on X about Seattle and what's going on with them. So I don't know. I really think I have no take on this game. I think that both teams could keep up with each other. So I might take something on the total since it's 41.5. So that might look a little bit better.
Broncos Chargers. Yeah, 41.5. That's pretty low. Broncos Chargers. 2.5. I mean,
why is it 2.5?
It's weird. Short week for the Chargers. It's an extra day of rest, and the Broncos are pissed. If I had to bet it, I bet the Chargers, but I think the Broncos is also a good teaser leg. I think it's a 3-point game. Harbaugh's doing great, but man, I think the Chargers win. I just,
a lot of these teams are Denver. I think Bo Nix is not fitting in just yet because of some of the stuff that he's been doing. Denver has a great defense, but they are letting you through.
Right.
When you look at some of those games, because they talk a lot about their defense, but where is that when it comes to certain plays? And yeah, Chargers should take this on a short week. They're been traveling a lot. They're at home. 2.5. Is it 2.5 or 3? Yeah, they went to Brazil.
It's 2.5. It wouldn't shock me if this is just one of those spots Herbert doesn't look great. It's at home, but it's not their real home. I almost feel like the Chargers are better on the road and away from home.
Yeah,
I mean,
in a way.
I came in the season high on Denver and the Chargers, and now I'm even higher on the Chargers than Denver. But I did. Well,
I don't know.
I'm going to pick the Chargers to win. I'm not going to lay 2.5.
Chargers to win for sure. Yeah, but I don't know that. Denver plus 3 sounds weird. Something about it. I know Denver fans would be like, "Oh, they should have won that game," blah blah blah. But maybe that's why they win. Maybe that's why they'll win or cover. Because they didn't cover for us last time. Or I mean, they didn't win for me. I just I
will say that was mostly not their fault, but they were outgained in yards. Well, Bo Nix should have not thrown that pick, and there was some bad coaching from.
I know. It was like, what is
like,
this?
Dude, you are sitting there eating the clock, and this is what you do.
And another quarterback that runs is Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, CJ. You can't let Danny do this.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
Danny Dimes took advantage of you and took you out. So there you go.
Crazy.
Here's a disgusting over, and I'm saying over because I bet the over. Cowboys Bears. And no defense on either side. The Bears defense is so hurt. Stevenson's terrible. They lost Gordon. Gordon might play, probably not, and they lost Jalen Johnson, their cornerbacks. And you saw Cowboys Giants, and you saw the Giants just were able to do anything they wanted against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are really paying for how they treated their defense and Micah Parsons. But it's also a Ben Johnson team where he's a very offensive guy. I see the Bears getting to 24 to 27 points, and I see the Cowboys getting up that high too. This 50.5 I took a better number, but I still like it under the key number of 51. So with my third play for the
Wow.
podcast, we're going over 50.5 in Chicago.
That's awesome. I think that's a great take on that. I wouldn't be shocked if your team actually won though.
Well, the number's kind of saying that, the Cowboys are just as good as the Bears. Like they're both really
Yeah,
close. I mean, it's pick 'em in some
yeah,
books. Maybe they slight edge the Cowboys, but people are scared of betting the Cowboys too. And it's just a bad spot for the Cowboys after 2 division games, and they're going to Chicago now, right? It's kind of
yes,
it's very Chicago. In Chicago, if they are a dog, they fit the bill of the 69%. Oh, and 2
yeah.
dogs, right? So yeah, but I'm not messing with the side. I'll be happy with the total, and I'll root for
And
no
you'll just
defense.
be happy as a fan. Yeah.
I'll root for fantasy football. I'll root for
There
fantasy
you go.
football here and say no defense is needed. Let's put up some fantasy points in this game.
Yeah,
So
no, it's a great take. I love that on both sides of the team. Going over, you might have some great games for CD, and then you got all that stuff. Like you said everything that I wanted to say, and I think the over is great on this. And
fair.
I wouldn't be surprised if I took it myself. So
Awesome. Well, fair enough. Cardinals, Niners, you know about this. It's funny. It's 2.5 in some books. It's +3 right now in DraftKings, juice to -120. There's some rumors that Purdy's going to play. I don't think he plays. I think he's still going to sit. I think that toe could be lingering. I also think that Mac Jones with Shanahan is better than people think. That's what I think.
Yeah.
My take is that Mac Jones can look like a good quarterback like he did at Alabama with a coach like Shanahan. But on the other end of the thing, Kyler Murray, so yin and yang, can win a tough game against a great team and can lose to a bad team.
Yes.
He's the most highly variant quarterback in the league, I feel.
He's super I think he's very moody. I know we just got rid of moody, but it's a great way to
Agreed.
describe Mr. Baby Kyler is what we call him because he's so tiny in the screen. But no, the Niners are great. We have a great defense. And Bosa Bear coming against Kyler, that could be a big factor. And a lot of people would say that, but I do like the over in this game. I won't really take so much of a side as far as covering because I know that Arizona could probably keep up with us, but that's why I'm taking the over. Over 45 is a good number for me that I usually take. And it's in Santa Clara. We don't, like you said about the Chargers, that we don't really play well at home either as the Niners team because it's not really in San Francisco. There's a lot of craziness in Santa Clara. It's in the middle and there's wind, there's as a fan, and I've been there plenty of times. I just don't like how the Niners usually play there. Yes, it's obviously like, hey, we play here. This is our home, but it doesn't feel like it as much as it did like Candlestick, So that's my take on my team.
The over. I mean, it's a pretty good defense to go over on it, but I do think that their secondary is a little weak. And if Kyler Murray's moving around, that could set up a quick over. So
especially after what Arizona did
in your direction. 46 right now. 46. So it's moving up. Yeah, it's 46 and a half at DraftKings. So it's really moving up. Get it before it hits 47 if that's your take.
Yeah, I totally would because 45 was a good number for me. I took that early. And Arizona, they let a team like Bryce Young's team catch up. So never know.
They play prevent.
It's never under till it's over. And it's never over till it's under.
It's never over till it's under. Is very true. I love the fact that you hit it over in the first half, then you're good. Under, you don't even hit it until the end. So it's got to be double zero.
I know. You're like, no.
That's why the public loves overs, though. That's always how it's been.
True.
Chiefs. Do they come back? Here's the thing: what are the Giants feeling after that choke in Dallas? And they should have at least tied. Wilson doesn't throw a pick; they tie. I'm on a Survivor. All of a sudden, he's like, I'm like, oh my God, I'm sitting there sweating this game in Cardinal Stadium. It was driving me nuts. They were ruining my time there, the Cowboys. And then I was just like, just lose so I can get past this. And then they actually win. I was like,
I know. And that's what really set me off too, where I was like, oh my God, I picked 2 Texas teams in circa millions, which rookie mistake I would never do because I have that narrative of, 2 teams in the same state, not winning or not covering. And they're big market teams too. So I was just pissed, just like you. And then I don't know, like the Giants, like they have this paper team that everyone talks about. We used to talk about paper teams all the time. Cincinnati was one of them. And I think the Browns was when Baker was there. And, you know, what happened to paper teams? They crumbled. I just think that this is one of those identity things, like, you know, and I think Mahomes is going to do everything he can to win this game.
He was
And
embarrassed. Mahomes is
yeah,
embarrassed at 0-2. Kelsey's embarrassed. The Giants have just a disgustingly hard schedule this year, but you know,
they do.
it's Wilson can be so yin and yang too. This number at 6 feels a little high for a Chiefs who has been covering by just, you know, getting through and winning at the end. And
Yeah.
they have some wide receiver injuries there, but you know, the Giants are the Giants. It's just, I'm going to lean to the Giants. I don't love
Both 0 and
it.
2, right? Both 0 and 2.
They're both 0-2, so the Giants fit the narrative here, but they're unfortunately playing an 0-2 team too. But it's the dog narrative that's at 69%. And if this gets to 7, I'm going to be forced to take it. I'm going to hate myself. But you know, it's just
Or tease it.
well, I'm not teasing. Yeah, you can tease the
Yeah.
Chiefs and then watch them
Yeah.
lose. You know, I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to lose, but man, this is a really discombobulated Chiefs team. They should have probably
Very.
won last week. Kelsey, the ball hits him in the stomach, goes off, and then goes right to the I forgot who on the Eagles, but it was crazy. It was crazy. It was like massive like swing on that. It ended up being a 14-point swing because they scored on that drive. So it's like the Chiefs are still very good. They still have a much better coach than the Giants. It's just
Right.
the spread you're looking at. That brings us to Monday night, which is an amazing game between the Lions and the Ravens. Right now, the Ravens are at 4.5, and the total is 53.5. Who are you believing here? Who are you believing?
Oh my God. I think Baltimore takes this because they're a better team and better. Campbell, I love, you know, I love the D. I love the Detroit Lions. I love Campbell. I love what he stood for in the last 2 seasons. Baltimore is a great team. They can really pull away if they really want to. They make their own mistakes. We've seen that happen in the Bills game. Obviously, that's Derrick Henry. Who else can make a mistake like that?
Oh,
And you know what I mean? And that game was a banger in week 1. I think they're in Baltimore. Goff doesn't do well on regular non-turf grass, and I did take this at under 52. A lot of people would say it would go over, obviously, because both teams can monstrously score, right? Like there's no, but I think it's a good spot. Monday Night Football. I'm going to run it back with Baltimore on this one. That's my strong feeling on it. I just don't like how Goff plays against a really good defense. And all they've done is add to their defense.
funny. It's like you could parlay Baltimore and Kansas City. 2 teams that have constantly been in the AFC playoffs. You know, it's like, especially as far as Kansas City, it's like, see, if you did put them together at 225 and 325, you're really close to minus 110 anyway, you know? So,
well, what I think is the Sunday
minus
night and
114.
Monday night, Sunday night and Monday night, you have to have one dog win and one favorite win. I have that theory.
Oh,
and,
narrative.
Yes. So I didn't have so much of a take on the Giants game, but you know, maybe they're the dogs and Baltimore, you know.
Well, I would say I think that the Lions benefited more on just the Bears being the Bears, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, I know these teams recently played. Let me pull it up here.
Yeah.
On because I'm curious on what happened. I thought the Ravens blew them out, but
Was that because but they had so much injuries last year. Like literally
they were super injured last year, but that defense doesn't look that much better away from home. So far, they only had Green Bay away from home, but they played the Bears. You know, the Bears are still terrible. So head to head, 38-6 in Baltimore. Oh, that was a while ago. That was 2023. That was a while ago. But Detroit did beat them in 2021. God, I feel like they played more than that.
Me too. But maybe they didn't. Maybe they didn't.
Maybe they
Did they play during preseason? Maybe that's what we're thinking.
Baltimore's 4-1 their last 5 games against the spread. So I'm considering Baltimore for a contest play. I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it from a betting standpoint, but it's just such a empty week when it comes to after my plays, because it's like pick your poison. I feel like it's a challenging week, so we'll see what happens.
Speaking of contests, sorry to bring this up if there's no time, but like I've been losing just the last leg, dude, like in millions, literally. Like everything else. And I think Prado was the one that brought that up on my show last night. And he was like, you're doing really good, except at the last leg. And I'm like, damn it. So if I pick Baltimore, then you might want to go against me.
Oh, no, I don't believe in that. We'll see what happens. There's still time to get into this thing, and no worries on that. Let's move on to our next segment, Bear Bet Bangers. And this is just any plus money future bet, or, if you have a future to win a division or an MVP, or a dog you might like this week to win outright. Do you have a little beer money banger that we can buy some more beers with?
My beer money banger is Cleveland. You already said it. So
that's there you go. I love it.
So yeah, that, or if you want some misery and snacks, I guess Raiders.
Plus 600 on Cleveland. That's a great. Okay, it's actually plus 400 here. It was better than that. I could have swore it was in the.
What if they just win? That's crazy.
That would be amazing. It is plus, it's around plus 400-ish. So that's a hell of a beer bet banger. I got one for you, and it's the Seahawks. They're gonna lose. Let's go, Saints. They're gonna go 2-1.
That's a good. That yours is better than mine. Yours is actually
I don't know. I don't know. Seahawks are at home, but here's the thing: the Saints dying for a win. They're not giving up on anything. Players don't give up. Only organizations might, but players never do. I think that it's Sam Darnold. So it's like, even though it's Spencer Rattler, it's still Sam Darnold. He can choke this thing away. They could take what's underneath. This team just could play out of their minds. And it's for beer money. It's over plus 300. It's plus 316 on Bet Online. I love this shot we're going to take on the Saints. Plus 316 beer bet banger. So we got Cleveland and Saints. They both win. That'd be a hell of a
And they're professionals. Like, these guys are professionals. They don't want to lose, and Green Bay's getting all this love and attention. And they're like, oh, you want to be the pretty boy.
And it's Seattle's in a letdown spot too. So it's both of us. It's a both good
Jordan Love in Cleveland.
They both fit the system. They fit the system for at least covering. So there you have it.
Covers. Yes. If they don't win, they'll cover for you. How about
Katie, you've been awesome. Really appreciate it. Where could our listeners get your great information and media?
So follow me at the Sports Betting Queen on IG, at KDeuces on X, and then www.thesportsbettingqueen.com. You'll find all of our YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. And you also get a link to the odds breaker. So yeah.
There you go. Make sure you follow Katie. She is the queen. Katie, best of luck in your plays this weekend.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait to have you on our show.